A man named Chris was sick and tired of going to work every day, while his wife stays at home all day doing nothing and yet still complains of being tired at the end of the day. Chris will nag for hours when he comes back home from work and see anything out of place in the house. He always gets angry and questions his wife about what she does all day if dinner is not ready before he returns home from work. He accuses her of being lazy and sleeps all day, which results to constant quarrel in the home. One day, after one of their usual quarrels, before Chris went to bed that night, he prayed, "Dear Lord, I go to work every day. I work very hard to fend for my family, while my wife stays at home all day and does nothing. God, please, I want her to experience what I go through every day to put food on the table. If it's possible, Lord, please switch her body to mine. Let me rest for a few days. Amen." After praying, Chris fell asleep, and surprisingly, he woke up the next day in a woman's body. It was the 4:30 a.m. alarm that woke him up. He quickly got up to prepare breakfast, wake the kids, set out their school clothes, bathed and fed them, packed their lunch, dressed them up and took them to school. He then came back home to make the bed, sweep and mop the house, wash the piled up dirty clothes, then took his bed and rushed to the market to get a few things for dinner. When Chris came back home from the market, he was already exhausted, but he had to get things done before the school closes. So he took out the groceries and arranged them, took his clothes to the dry cleaner and then rushed to school to pick the kids. By that time, it was already 4:15 p.m. When Chris got home with the kids, he removed their school uniforms, yelling for them to come and take their beds. After that, he fed them and started helping them out with their homework. He then switched on the TV for them. After a few minutes, they all fell asleep. He then proceeded to sweep and clean. Clean and arrange the house again. By that time, Chris could barely catch his breath as he had no strength left in him again. It was already 5:30 p.m. and his wife would soon come back home from work. Chris immediately started preparing for dinner. Few minutes later, his wife came back home from work. He served her dinner, fed the kids and cleaned the kitchen and washed the plates. After 1 hour, he put the kids to sleep and then took his bed and retired to bed, totally exhausted and worn out. His wife now demanded for sex and he dare not complain or say no, so he had to go through with it. Early the next morning, Chris woke up and immediately knelt down, crying and pleading to God to turn him back again to a man. He said, "Lord, I do not know what I was thinking. I was wrong to envy and complain about my wife being lazy and stayed at home all day doing nothing. Please, God, give me my male body back again. I can't bear this. I was wrong. Please forgive me." But God said no, that it is impossible because the love he made with his wife have resulted to pregnancy, that he is trapped for 9 months in that body. Chris shouted, "No!" and jumped out from the bed, panting and sweating. He was overjoyed when he discovered that he is still in his body, that it was only a mere dream all along. He was so happy that immediately he ran and hugged his wife, knelt down and started apologizing for all the wrong things he had said to her and called her a superhero, asking her where she gets all the strength that she uses to put everything in order in their home. Chris' wife was surprised and asked him if he was okay. Chris, now crying, holding his wife tightly and pleading for forgiveness for not appreciating her efforts. He told her that God have opened his eyes and that from now onwards he will always appreciate and help her with the house chores. His wife, now overwhelmed with tears in her eyes, thanked her husband for his understanding. Moral of the story: women are the true superheroes. Always appreciate them.